Hey everyone, this is my first time doing a live stream, so I'm not sure quite how it's going to go or who's going to join here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about hybrid inks. So I'll just stay on for a couple of seconds until some people start joining in. But I decided to do this live because I just want to be able to share and kind of demo along with you, but see any questions. So I'm going to pull up the chat here. Hello. And then I can talk to you guys as we're going. So I'll set that off to the side so I can see what you guys are saying. But I just want to quickly, like I said, I shared a video the other day showing how to create these cards here. And I just wanted to share quickly some of the benefits of the hybrid inks because I realized I shared this video here and I didn't really share kind of all the things that are really awesome about the hybrid inks. So be sure to let me know if you have any questions along the way. I would love to chat with you. I see some of you guys are joining in, so thank you. This is a lot of fun. And I'm going to share kind of the benefits of hybrid inks over dye inks or over pigment inks here and why I really love using them. So like I said, I shared those the other day, and I wanted to do this live so I can kind of chat with you guys along the way. So I'll be kind of sharing the benefits, and I'll also maybe do a project as well later on. So here are the ink pads that I used the other day. I used the mini ink pads in my video. So these are hybrid inks by Nuvo. They just released, and they also have these larger hybrid ink pads. So I've been using the black a lot of times in my video too, so you guys might have seen that. And I've been using these a lot in my videos because they're super versatile and kind of cover the whole spectrum of inks. So instead of being just a dye ink or just a pigment ink, hybrid inks are kind of like a mix of both. So it's like the best of both worlds in one ink pad. So I love using these. They're not amazing for some things, but they're really awesome for others. So I'm gonna just do some quick stamping here. I'm gonna grab out a piece of cardstock so I can do a quick demonstration for you guys. So hybrid inks work with both alcohol markers and watercolors. So dye ink will work really nicely. Water-based dye ink works really well for Copic coloring, and then solvent dye inks work really well for watercoloring. Well, because hybrid ink is a mix of both, it works really well for both watercoloring and Copic coloring or alcohol marker coloring. So I'm going to take this. This is the Nuvo hybrid ink pad in black, and they got the full-size ink pad for this. So most of the full-size ink pad colors are kind of the more basic ones, and then they release the smaller inks in all the fun colors. So I'm just going to ink this up, and then I'm going to stamp it down right onto my surface here. And I'm just using regular 110-pound cardstock. So you can see that really crisp black image. And let me know how the camera work is too, because this is my first time doing this, so I'm using all new stuff. So here is how the image looks. It's stamped really nicely. And I'm just going to want to give it a couple seconds to let it dry into the cardstock. And every ink needs to do that, whether you're using Copics or watercolors, or no matter what type of ink it is. I always find that you need to just at least give it some time to dry, even with my other inks that I use for alcohol marker coloring. And you can even come in with your heat tool and heat set this as well. So I'm just going to do that really quickly. I'm going to mute you guys quick. So you can see I just did it for a couple of seconds, and I just muted you guys so you wouldn't have to listen to the heat tool there. So now it's all dry. It was dry to the touch at the beginning, but you still want to give it some time to sink into the cardstock. So I'm going to go here. I apologize for the camera being so far away as well. I'll be sure to lift things up after I'm done working on them. So I'm going to quickly go in with watercolor here. So this is a water-based aqua flow marker from Nuvo. And I'm going to use yellows today because I find those really show the tests nicely. So they'll show if it bleeds at all. So here's me going over top of it with the aqua flow. And that's water-based, and it's not really bleeding at all. So you can see it still really keeps up that super nice detail and definition. But I've added that fun watercolor over top right here. So you can see it's still really holding up nicely to that. And then I'm going to go in with an alcohol marker here. So I've got a Nuvo alcohol marker, and I'm just going to go in and go across here as if I was coloring an a stamped image. And usually when you're coloring, you don't go over the lines a ton like I just did, but I really want to give it that test here. And you could really see that no matter what you did, whether it's that watercoloring, and this isn't watercolor cardstock, but this is just regular cardstock. And then I also used the alcohol marker on it, and you can see the lines still keep really nice and crisp. Now, usually if you were using a dye ink and you wanted to use it for either one, you could heat emboss the surface or things like that. But I love that you can just leave the stamped image here and you can do whatever you want on top of it, but sure have that still nice crisp image there, which I really love. Hello, thanks for joining in, guys. I'm just comparing hybrid inks and kind of showing the fun things that they can do. So this is how it will look no matter what you use on it. Yeah, it gives really nice crisp lines, and I love that about it. And it just, you can use that on either one, and it gives the crisp lines either way, which I really like. There's no guesswork on which ink you have to use for what. It's kind of the best of both worlds. So now I'm just going to go in. I'll leave that up to the side so you guys can see it. Hopefully this is working nicely. And then I'm going to go in and I'll just do some quick coloring, I think, here. Or actually, I'm going to share some more things that they can do kind of with these ink pads. So the other day in my video, I shared how you can get that fun look on top of vellum and that the ink pads dry on there. And that definitely has to be one of my favorite tips and tricks with these ink pads. So I'm just going to grab some clear transparency here. This is just one of those packets from Avery L. I use them to store my stamps in. I don't happen to have any vellum right now, but I did use vellum on this card, and it works super nicely with vellum because it doesn't warp as much. But I still want to show you guys, so I'm going to use this plastic kind of piece of transparency, and it'll work very similar to how the vellum would. But if you do have vellum, you can do your stamping on top of there, and you get really cool results. So I'm going to grab one of my little mini ink pads here. I'll grab this fun color, and I'm going to wipe off my stamp quickly. So I'm just going to clean this off so I don't get that black ink that I just used on my red ink pad. So there we go. Now I got all my ink off of there, and I can move on to stamping this down onto the surface here. So I'm just going to ink it up really quickly with the mini ink pad. I love this color. It's called Spanish Sangria. So you can get these in packs of 3, the little mini ones. And you can save a lot of money by buying the mini ink pads because they're a lot smaller than the larger ones. I know that I covered some of this in my other video, but because they're a lot smaller, they're a lot less money as well. And if you're tight on space, they work really nicely for that too. So I'm just going to stamp that down onto the plastic piece there. And you can see even on here, I'll put it up against a piece of white cardstock. You can see you really get that crisp line still, and it really holds up that definition on that clear transparency here. Now, the one thing about this on the plastic is you do need to heat set it for it to dry. Usually, even if you heat set water-based dye inks, they still won't dry on here because it's that plastic surface, they'll just kind of smear off. But I'll show you after I dry this, I'll show you what it looks like. But I'm also just going to quickly kind of rub on some ink like I did the other day in that video as well. And that just gives you even more coverage. So that way when I heat set it, I'll show you that none of this smudges once it's done. You do need to heat set it for a little while though. Kind of concerns me because this is plastic, so it does melt more than vellum would. So I'm gonna mute you guys again really quickly. Just give it a second so I can heat set this, but I don't want you guys to have to sit through the loud heat tool. So just give me a second. So now that we're back, you can see that when I was heat setting it, I was heat setting on the piece of plastic for a little bit. And I also was heat setting off to the side just to make sure that it didn't warp the piece a little too much. Hey everyone to who's joining in, thanks so much for joining. I'm comparing kind of how hybrid inks work right now. So I would love to have you guys. I hope you all are having a wonderful morning. So here I'll keep it on the piece of white cardstock actually, and I'm just going to wipe my finger over top, and you can see maybe that spot wasn't heat dried enough, so I'll heat set this just a second more. It works a little bit better on the vellum because it won't move as much, but let me just do this really quickly a little bit more. That's kind of the problem with this plastic. I wish I had some vellum to show you guys. But you can kind of see when you touch it here now, it almost is to the point of melting where I had to heat that. So that's why the vellum is a little bit nicer. It holds up stronger. You can see as I run my finger over top of it, you can see that it's not bleeding or blending onto the surface there. It did a little bit there, but that wasn't heat set enough. But it works really nicely on this plastic. So if you want to stamp sentiments or things like that on here, you got lots of different colors to choose from and all these fun colors here. So I think that's really cool that you're able to stamp on a plastic or a vellum kind of surface and still have it be able to dry there. And like I said, normal dye inks that are water-based wouldn't be able to do that. So that's why I love using hybrid inks on those surfaces. So here's just one more quick look at that. And again, it really dried nicely on top of there. I could see maybe having like a window card where you have a portion cut out here and you have that plastic piece kind of showing, and that would look really beautiful on there. So I'm just gonna do some quick coloring using the hybrid inks now, just with some black ink. I wanna just quickly do some coloring and share kind of how it really holds up to that ink there. So I'm gonna stamp down this flower image again, the same one I've been using. I'm just gonna clean it off just a little bit there, and then I'll be able to stamp it down on my surface. So I'm gonna ink it up with that black ink again. And then I can stamp it down. Thank you guys so much for joining today. This is my first live stream, so it's lots of fun. I hope to do more of these in the future if you guys like them too. So let me know how you guys are liking it. So there we go. I moved my stamp a little bit so it's not super crisp. You can see I kind of rocked my stamp up there, but it'll be just good enough for us to color. It's not too noticeable. So I'm going to give it a little heat set here. Once again, I'm going to mute you guys for just a second. I apologize for all the muting. The heat tool is really loud, so I don't want you guys to have to sit through that. So here is that stamped image. And again, it's dry to the touch on cardstock right away. You just want to give it some time to sink in and let it really dry on there underneath. So I'm going to quickly do my coloring here. I've got some Nuvo alcohol markers off to the side. What color do you guys want to see here? I think I'm going to do some pink on top of this little flower here. So I'm going to go in with the darkest color that I have first, and I'm going to follow along with the shadows there. So I'm just going in, and you can see on this stamp, this one's from Hero Arts, you can see on the stamp there's little lines in there to kind of hint where you're supposed to add those shadows in. I apologize if this is so far away. In the future, I'll have to learn how to zoom up on these webcams. But here you guys can see I'm just following along with those little lines in there. And I'll also add some shading into the center here. And then all along those little hand-drawn lines that are in there. So that just kind of hints where you're supposed to shade, and it'll give you a good idea. So since this is my darkest color, I'm just adding it into all those spots where there's folds and creases inside that flower there. So after I've added that color in, you can see the lines are really staying nice and crisp, even though I went over lots of those lines there. So they still stay really nice and dark when you're coloring on there. Then I'll go in with my second color. So this is my second darkest. And when you buy these from Tonic, they come in packs of 3, and they're really affordable and inexpensive for being alcohol markers, but I love how they blend. So they come in packs of 3 colors that blend really, really nicely together. So I'm just going to continue coloring these in. I still do love using my Copics, but these are really awesome because it kind of takes the guesswork out of that. And you don't have to buy colors individually since you get them in those packs. And I think more colors of these are releasing soon. So I'll be sure to share those soon as well. So I just add that shading in, and you can really see that it kind of picks up that darker color and really blends it together nicely. That's one of the things that I really struggle with Copic markers. I was never too great at coloring with those, but these make it super simple. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm using little circular blending motions as I'm coloring. And this blends that color out really nicely and really gives it an awesome effect as you're coloring. So you can kind of see this one has a little bit of a peachy undertone, and I really love that. Somebody said they sound really scratchy. Yeah, it's just because of the bullet tip in the marker. Since this is such a fine tip, it's just because I'm going in circles like that, so you can kind of hear that little noise there. They're not too bad in real life, but I bet my microphone is picking it up a lot, because it kind of picks up every little noise. But yeah, it's just because of the little bullet tip kind of scribbling on there. Because the brush tip in other markers kind of is more bendable and flexible. This is kind of a more harder nib on the end, but I really like the detail you can get with it. So then I'll go in with the last and lightest color here, and I'll go in and just blend the rest of that out. So you can go in there and just blend out anything that still has any white space left. And you could still leave that white space if you want to there, but I like to blend that all out. If there's any harsh spots, you can go back in. And if you want a little bit more shadows, you can always go back in and go along some of these lines just to kind of really darken up some of those spots, which is always quite fun to do. And I think it looks really nice in the end to just have that touch of darker color after you've all blended it all out. So who's crafting this morning? Is anybody crafting along with me? If you are, that is so awesome. I love doing that. I love watching people's live streams and crafting along. So here we go. Here's what the image looks like so far. And I think that I'll add a little bit of yellow inside that little spot in the center there. So I'm going to use my darkest yellow color. And I'll just kind of blend it out as well. So it doesn't just have to stay right in the center. I'll kind of blend it out into that pink color. Then I'll go in with the medium tone, kind of blend that out. And then I'll bring the lightest tone in there too. And these have that really fine bullet nib, so you can really get into all that detail. Then I'll go back in with my pink marker, just to blend out a little bit of that yellow, but you still have that yellow color in there. You'll be heading to your craft room shortly. You have the whole day free for crafting today. That's awesome. So here's what that flower looks like once it's complete. You can see that yellow kind of going into that pink there, which I really love. Kind of got some of that yellow tone on there. The cubes are not the same color as the pens and the pads. So these cubes are new colors of the ink pads. And then these larger ink pads are different colors. So these ones are really kind of basic colors. You can kind of see them here. And then they also have the mini ink pads in all these fun array of colors, but these don't match the pens, and they kind of all coordinate if you want them to. You can kind of find similar colors, but they don't match perfectly. Awesome, you're crafting on your balcony. That is awesome. Halfway through a card and you're not sure. Yeah, that's me every time. Anytime I try to film a video, I always take breaks in the middle of it because I can never figure out how to put the whole card together. Yeah, so they don't all match together, but I find that they coordinate really nicely together. So if I wanted a light yellow with a light yellow, usually they match pretty well, but nothing matches perfectly. So if you want them to match perfectly, it's not going to work like that, but you can find colors that go really similar nicely together. So then I'll go in with the green here. I'll just add some darker color, once again, along those hand-drawn lines. Thanks, guys, so much for chiming in. That's a lot of fun. I love answering your questions there. So I'll add it along kind of right where the flower meets those leaves. And I'll also add it kind of along the veins of that flower there. Also, I'm not quite sure how this works, guys, but if you want to share this stream, I would love it. It's my first time streaming here, so I'm not quite sure how all this works. I'll probably get better as I continue to do it. I might do this every once in a while to kind of come in and chat with you guys, maybe on Saturdays, so we can kind of craft a little bit. So I'm not sure how this quite works yet, but if you guys have any tips to fill me in on, I would love hearing it. So I'll just color along in here. And I love this stamp from Hero Arts. I've been using it. You've probably seen it in a couple videos here. But I have been loving using this stamp just because it has so much detail. So it's really fun to color in. I think I used it with the Nuvo pencils, the watercolor pencils. And it was really fun to color in just because of all the really cool detail that it has. So then I'm going in with this last green color here. This is the lightest color. And I'm just going to blend all that together. And you really don't need to have a ton of skill with alcohol markers to do this. I find these are a great basic to have. And then if you like it, you can always upgrade to Copics. But I still use these kind of alongside my Copics because I don't have a ton of colors. So mixing these in along with Copics is also really fun too. And I really do like the fine bullet nib. Sometimes with the brush nib, I love the brush nib, but sometimes with it, I find that it covers too much area that I don't really want covered. So I'll get lots of bleeding and things like that. Whereas this, I have really good control of my marker. So there we go. You guys can kind of see this flower colored in here. And look at that fun detail you can get with these alcohol markers. And look at those crisp lines. Do you see that? So the lines didn't bleed at all. Do they blend nicely with Copics? I can give it a try right now. Let me try it out quickly. I've got my Copics over here. Right now, since my craft room is all moved around, I got these two little mugs that say Smile and Kindness, which I love. I think they're backwards on the video, but I love these, and I keep my little Copics inside them for now. But I love these mugs. I think they're from Ellen, yeah. Really awesome reminders inside my little craft room, and they look really cool too. So I'm just going to quickly try to blend these together for you guys. That's a great question. So I'm going to find colors that kind of maybe look similar to each other. So I've got a yellow here. Let's try it with the yellows. So the colors are going to be a little bit different, I feel like. So I'll try to get a similar color kind of range going. Let's test if this goes nicely with it. So I've got that yellow color. And then here is a lighter yellow from Copic. And yeah, they blend really nicely in the center. This one's kind of hard to tell since it's really light. Hopefully you guys can see that. That's a pretty nice blend that we got there. Sometimes I can't even get that good of a blend with just my Copics. So yeah, it looks really nice. I think the Copic is a little bit smoother just because of that brush nib. But that's still a really smooth blend and smooth color there. Now let me try it with like some reds. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm a little bit surprised. Sometimes I can't even get good blends like that just with my Copics. So here's a red color. This will probably be easier to see. And then I'll throw in some of this red. Let's see if this kind of matches. It's a little bit lighter. Kind of add some of that color in the center to kind of blend them out. Wow, I'm really surprised. This looks really awesome. I'll go back in and kind of blend some of that color together. But yeah, that definitely blends really nicely. That was an awesome question. They work really well with those Copics. So if you've got a little collection of Copics and you want to kind of expand it, I've got these alcohol markers here. They work really well. Now, down in the description box below, if you guys want to support me, I have links to all these ink pads from Tonic and linked to multiple sources. So if you guys want to purchase any of those, I would love if you can go down below in the description box and use my links. I get a little bit of commission from it. So if you're interested in purchasing these ink pads, and I'll probably keep this live stream up so you guys can rewatch it. And then I'll have the markers linked later on as well. Thanks so much. Yeah, I am loving doing this live stream, so I'll probably do it more on Saturdays and things like that. So I don't know if you guys want to see a little bit of watercoloring with the ink as well. Does anybody want to see some watercoloring on here? Because we did those Copics, maybe we want to compare the watercolors too. I really love this. I'm ready to make a card with this in a little bit here. I'll probably post the finished card on Instagram if you guys want to see that. Absolutely. Okay. Awesome. So glad to hear from you all. I love when you guys talk in the chat down there. Okay, so I think I'll do it with, I don't think I have watercolor cardstock right now, but I have Bristol. And that's kind of similar to me. Yes, please, watercoloring. Awesome. Watercoloring is one of my favorite mediums. So I've got a piece of Bristol cardstock. You were just going to ask about watercoloring. Great. I'm so glad I'm doing it then. So I'll stamp it down with this Nuvo black hybrid ink. I've been using this so much in videos. I love how this stamps. It's 1:30 in the morning and you're up for everything. Well, awesome. I'm so glad. So here is how that ink looks. Once again, it's super crisp. I'm going to mute you guys for a second like I've been doing so I can heat set this and I'll be right back. Awesome. I'm so glad a lot of you guys are loving the live stream. I've been really scared to do it for a while, so this is great. I love doing this. But I'll have to probably figure out how to zoom it in more because I think the view down here is probably not as good. Or at least what I'm seeing isn't as good. But it really looks nice up here. So hopefully I'll find out a way to kind of zoom it in. Yeah, it's such an awesome way. I love chatting with it. I have been seeing lots of fun creators doing live streams. So I wanted to give it a try too, to be able to chat with all of you guys. But I've never been able to do it like this. So I have all of my Nuvo Aquaflows in a little owl mug here. And actually, just give me a second here. There are some new Nuvo Aquaflows for the month of April. This is part of the Ocean Air release. Yeah, I'll get you guys closer in next time. I can't figure out how to zoom in right now, but hopefully next time I'll figure out how to do that. So these are the Ocean Air Aquaflows. These are part of the trends. I don't think I've explained this yet, but I'll probably do a video on it or maybe a live stream soon. But basically, it has all of your favorite Nuvo products in lines of colors that coordinate really well together. So I'll be able to show you these a little bit later, but I want to use some of these colors here. So I'll set that off to the side. Love my mug storage. Thanks so much. Yeah, I just got a couple different kinds of mugs, and I'll probably keep updating that. I think for the Copic markers and the alcohol markers, I'll probably have a storage in the future, but for right now, I got those little mugs. So to prep these, you just want to take out that little yellow piece and then screw the little cap on here because that brush is inside the tip. And then to get it going here, I'm just going to grab a new sheet of cardstock. To prep these, you just want to lightly, gently squeeze on them because remember, it's just plastic. So just a light squeeze to kind of get that color flowing. Once you see a little bit of color coming out, it'll saturate that whole nib there. And then you've got your watercolor. So I love these little Aquaflows. They're super fun to get that color there. So just remove that yellow part, screw it back on. and that kind of punctures the color. So they're just packed like this so that when they get shipped to you, they don't leak all over the place. And then just watercolor on your surface. And so these aquaflows are basically just a really, really vibrant watercolor inside of these. And it has these paintbrush nibs on them. So you get to kind of almost paint them in onto your surface. Ooh, this one's kind of like an orange sand kind of color. I love that. Love it. Hello, thanks guys so much for joining in. We're playing a little bit with the hybrid inks and kind of coloring them in. Now we've moved on to some watercolor here. It's kind of all over the place, but I love chatting with you guys today. So I'll move this just for a second here. Here's my little flower. You guys, I think I'm going to color this in blue just because I just opened those and I just want to see how they'll kind of work out on here. So this is the darkest color from the pack that I just opened, the darkest blue. I love blue. I'm not quite sure how it'll look with this flower, but we'll see. Okay, so these are pens that are called Aquaflows. They're from Tonic. They're really, really awesome. They come in packs of 3 like I just shared. And they're colors that go really nicely together. Yeah, they are really super bright. Thanks so much. Yeah, they're really bright. They're really vibrant colors, which I really like because it kind of gives you more bang for your buck because you don't have to add a ton of color on to get them to really get that color that you want. So I'll show just really quick here. I'm going to go in with a water brush and you can kind of really blend these out. So just by using that one marker or that one paintbrush, sorry, you can see you really get that blend of color. So you keep that darker color up there where you added it, and then you can always feather it out with the water brush to kind of give you that lighter look on the outside. Hello, yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming into the chat. I'm super excited to have you guys here today. I'm really excited that I finally built up the courage to go live. I've never done this before, but it's really a fun time talking to you guys. Yeah, the desktop is probably a little bit better than your phone for watching this just because it's a little bit bigger and my screen is probably really far away right now. I'm trying to kind of hold things up for you guys though, but hopefully in the future I'll get something that's a little bit closer. Thanks so much. Yeah, my camera is mounted up on the ceiling up here. So that's where I have this mounted too. And also I like these because if your paper's wet, you can still add on color. So you can see I just went in that little area that was wet and it won't peel up the cardstock. But yeah, my camera is mounted up this high, but usually I zoom in, but I can't figure out how to zoom in on this little webcam here. But I'll probably figure that out pretty soon. So I'll put that away there. Can you use the other pens and pads to watercolor? I'm not quite sure what your, the alcohol markers you can't use to watercolor. I'll show you kind of how the ink pads work. They're not my favorite for watercoloring, just because there's so many other mediums that work quite a bit better because they're hybrid inks. So they don't want to blend as well with water, just because they kind of want to resist that water. So that's how it keeps that really nice image on there. Yep, I have a link in my description box down below where you can get any of the products that I'm sharing today, mainly just the ink pads I have linked, but I'll be updating those links soon and I'll have all the stuff that I use today. Hello, yeah, the Rode mic is really nice for swiveling your camera. That's awesome. I just have mine mounted on ceiling just because it's a little bit easier for me to kind of keep filming and have a really easy film setup and not have my camera in my way on my desk. And then you guys don't get bumped around when I do any like stamping or anything like that. So you can see that color was really vibrant. I think I might have added a little too much onto the edges there, but I just put the color in kind of along those lines and kind of blended it out from there. And if you want to, you can go back in with your marker. And like I did with the pink one, just add some color right along the right along those lines that the stamp has in it. Blue flowers, I'm not sure. Thanks so much. I'm glad you guys think it's pretty. So here's that little blue flower. And then for the center, I think I'll add a little bit of maybe yellow, kind of pinkish color. Thanks so much. I love chatting with you guys in here. I hope you all are having an awesome day as well. I'll add a little bit of pink kind of color into here. And then I'll throw in a little bit of tan too. I love mixing these colors. And the best part about them is if you get blue on the tip of this. So let's say I went into here and I got a little bit of blue on there. You can always just wipe it off. I usually do it on my hand, but you could do it on another surface of cardstock. And because they're that real brush, you can see those bristles there. Because they're that real brush, you can easily scribble out that color and they don't kind of stain. They don't come out with a new color each month. They have trends this year. So the trends are every kind of holiday or things like that. I'll share a video on them soon because I'm not quite sure every month they are yet. Yeah, fingers so clean when I'm coloring. I'm not quite sure which months the trends are coming out yet. I have them here, but I'm not going to take the time to read each little box. But basically, there are different Nuvo products each month that they release in the trends, and you can buy them all separately, but they're all colors that really coordinate nicely with whatever's going on that month. So for April this month, they had some really beachy colors. They had a February one too, and I think it was like red, yellow, and blue, and they're super beautiful. They got papers, markers, pens, and things like that, and glitter pastes and stuff like that that go really nicely with those colors, and they coordinate super well. So yeah, my fingers are pretty clean. I mean, they got a little bit of ink on here. I like getting pretty inky. So also another fun part about this is I can go in with that yellow that I'm using, and I could just add some highlights along that flower. Yellow goes nicely with that blue, I think. So if you want that flower to be just a little bit lighter, hopefully you guys can kind of see that. In real life, you can really see those yellow highlights there. And then I'm just going to go off onto the side. This was my test sheet. I really like how that looks, actually. And I'm just going to kind of wipe that off in case if there's any color on there. Inky fingers for 3 days straight last week. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if my fingers get bad, like really bad with ink, usually I use like a little scrubby kind of for your kitchen, and that kind of pulls off some of that ink pretty well. So I'll add some green in here. Now the green is really, really vibrant. So I'm just going to add a tiny little bit here. Oh, and also I find when you want to blend these out, if you want the best blend, you want to kind of work on Bristol. They do work really nicely on other cardstocks too, but usually this kind of marker works super well on Bristol cardstock. And you want to go in pretty soon after. You don't want to wait a day after you applied the ink, to apply your color on. So I usually do it almost right after, and then I am able to water that color out really well. So here you can kind of see that coloring really helps water that down, and you get that really nice blend on there. So yeah, Bristol's a really fun cardstock to work on. Yours take forever to dry. Yeah, these markers, they do take a little bit of time to dry. It depends on how much water you add. So here you can kind of see that. I don't add a ton of water. And also I love that look if there's a little bit of white space there. So I just kind of left some of that white space. I love that look with watercolor. Distress crayon tutorial. I don't have any of those yet. I haven't been able to try those out yet. But if I do get them in the future, if I decide to purchase them, I'll definitely share some videos. So I'm just throwing in a little bit of light color. Thanks so much. I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, I love coloring these images in. It's a lot of fun. And to kind of keep the flow throughout the whole thing, I'll add a little bit of yellow inside those greens too. Since it's still super wet, it's not going to be as noticeable, but you'll still notice it just a little bit there. Yeah, definitely a tropical feeling for sure. And by adding that yellow, it kind of gives you some of those fun water effects, and I really love that look in the watercolor. So you can see that fun coloring there. And it's really different from Copic or alcohol marker coloring. But you can kind of see the difference there. They both give really fun results. And I love with this ink that you get that crisp line no matter what you use on them. So I've been using this, this ink for a while now. You've probably seen them in my videos. I use that black ink all the time just because it works so well with watercoloring and Copic coloring. So what do you guys think? Do you want me to finish the cards on here, or should I go off and finish them and then share them on Instagram? What do you think? What are you guys in the mood for? Or maybe I'll finish one card. Have I tried stamping with them? Yeah, they work really well for stamping. Let me do that really quickly here. Let me just do that quick. You guys want to see it here? Awesome. Okay, let me do some stamping with the markers quick. Both. Okay, I'll probably finish one card on here, and then I'll do one card off. And maybe I'll use some of those new Nuvo trends too. Yeah, I'll finish one on here, and then I'll share the other one on Instagram for you guys. So I'm thinking I'm going to do maybe a red flower on here. So I'm just going to color this in. Now, another thing I love to use for coloring, I don't love these as much because they're that brush nib, they're a little bit harder to apply that ink. I love using the glitter markers by Nuvo, and those give a really great stamped effect, but with some added glitter. And I think I shared an Instagram picture showing this stamped with the glitter marker. You go back just a little while, you can probably check it out there. I'll probably end up doing a video on it in the future too. This one's a little dry, to get it back going, I'm just going to squeeze it out. Thanks so much, guys. Yeah, I'll finish it in just a second here. I'm just going to color this in really quick. So you can see, I'm just going to go really quickly in here. Usually I would take a little bit more time to kind of get some of the details in. I'll give it a nice breath of warm air. Oops, I forgot the center. So I'll color that little middle part in. And then I like to give it a little spray of water. It'll stamp nicely how it is because they're so liquid, but I love that watercolor look. And there you go. So there is that stamped with those markers. And once again, I love the watercolor effects. So yeah, it really creates that awesome look on your card. And I love those little fun water effects, but if you want a more smoothed out kind of image with these markers, you can always go in and not spray that water. And then you'll probably get some more of those details. But they're still pretty captured nicely in here. I love it. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for coming in. I can see on my phone, it's not as clear when I pull the image down, but on my computer screen, it's working pretty nicely. So if you guys aren't getting a clear image, maybe try on your computer. And then I'll give it another nice breath of warm air. Let's see if it can stamp again. Sometimes it can, and sometimes it can't. Oh, awesome. See, there you go. So just that one inking gives you two really nice images. And like I was just saying, this one is the one that I watered down more. So you can see some of those details are lost. And then once some of that ink's gone, you can see that second generation is way more crisp and clear. I'm not even going to try a third image, but maybe you could probably get one out of here. Yeah, that's beautiful. I was not expecting to get that good of a second stamped impression. So just to clean those markers off, I just use water. You can use stamp cleaner too, and that'll clean it really nicely off your stamp. I find rubber stamps work the best for that. Some of the clear stamps kind of resist ink like that a little bit more. So rubber works really nicely. So you guys want me to finish these cards, so I'll finish them off. I'm going to use probably this flower just because that'll go really nicely with those beach colors that I have. So I have a die over here for this fun stamp. I'll probably just heat set this quickly because it's that watercolor. So just give me a second. I'm going to mute you quick. I love that you guys are all staying here with me to finish off this fun card here. And I'll be sure to share the other one and probably this one more up close on Instagram. So I'm going to use this purple tape to tape down my die. What made me get into card making? I used to do a lot of art when I was little, and then I found alcohol inks. Those are lots of fun. I know they're coming back again. 4 years ago, I found them in one of the big box stores, and then I started creating some backgrounds. Lots and lots of backgrounds. I know how lots of you feel if you make backgrounds and never use them. That was me. So I made lots of backgrounds, never really found a great use for them. I'm gonna just try to line this up as best as I can so my head might get in the image there. So I had all those backgrounds and I searched up what to do with alcohol inks, and for some reason, card making videos showed up. So I found lots of people's card making videos. I'm gonna quickly run this through my die cutting machine. So I'll be right back. So there we go, that just popped right out with the tape. I know, I'm so sorry that the image gets blurry. Yeah. Next time when I do this, I'll try to kind of zoom in a little bit closer. Yeah, you can definitely watch later. I'll be putting this up as a live broadcast, so anybody can watch it later on. So if you guys don't have time right now, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, you can definitely catch this on later. So here's that fun image. Now I just want to add a little bit of shimmer on here to kind of finish it off. So I'll use some Aquaflow shimmer pen. And usually I just add a little bit of shimmer right to the center of my flowers and right on that little center point. And that just gives it a fun little shimmer. So yeah. Oh, so back to my story here of how I got started. I watched a ton of videos from our favorite Jennifer McGuire and Christina Werner. And that's really how I got started. I a ton of supplies. I didn't have a ton of money for supplies or anything, but learn how to make things work, you know, and I had like 1 or 2 stamp sets, but I used them so many times. I still have them. And I think my first stamp was from Paper Smooches. But I used a lot of ink back then, and I created some really fun backgrounds for my cards, and I think it looked really awesome. So here I have that little box of Nuvo trends for April. So I'm just gonna pull this out. And do you know what? I love the I love this cardstock so much. So I knew I wanted to use this on something like this. Sorry for the loud noise. Everything definitely needs a little bit of sparkle. Yes, she is definitely such a genius. So this has 5 sheets in it. I'm just using the pearlescent card. It's probably a little bit hard to see on the video there. I'll pull a sheet out. Yeah, I apologize for the focus issues. I'm gonna try to work on that a little bit. I'll probably get some help with my camera here because this isn't the same camera that I film with. So this is a mint kind of cardstock. It came with the, or you can buy it in that Ocean Air release from April. So this is kind of like a minty color with that shimmer in there. It's so beautiful. So I'm going to just cut a little piece of this off. I'll trim it down a little bit for my card. Yes, this is really awesome paper. I love using it for my cards. Actually, you know what? Maybe, just wait 1 second. I think I'm going to throw in a textured cardstock, actually. I think the background needs just a little bit more. So I think that I'll add in this one. Sorry, you guys can kind of see my creative process. I change a lot of stuff a lot of time, but I think, yeah, there's definitely some issues going on. I apologize for those, but yeah, it's my first time live streaming, so it'll just get better as I continue. So here we go. This is the Champagne Harlequin, and I think this color just matches a little bit better since the flower isn't quite that minty color. Also, you can see my desk is just getting a little bit messier as I go. So I'll just cut a piece of it down to the size that my card is going to be. I'm going to go to a card design that I know that I'll love. Yeah, all things definitely get better with time. So I like how that looks. Now I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock here. Definitely, I change my mind all the time. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to bring my little trimmer in here so you guys can see. I'll cut that down at a diagonal. I love this design. I use it ever so often here. Just a piece of white cardstock, and that will overlay on top of that. And then I can shove my flower over top of it and then add a little sentiment there. What do you guys think? I think that looks pretty nice. I think it looks pretty good. Thank you so much, Roberta. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That is so awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not too stressed about the focus. I'll try to get it fixed in the next live stream though. Okay. Once again, thanks so much. I'm going to go in with just scoring this card now. I cannot find my scoring tool. So I'm just going to fold here. This is just a top folding A2 size card that I'm using here. And I'm just going to score it down. And it wasn't a perfect crease just because I cannot find my scoreboard. I'm in a new room, so it's a little bit hard to find everything. I'm still getting everything nice and organized. I know lots of people have been asking for a craft room tour, and I'll be sure to share that once everything is just how I like it in here. So this is that textured cardstock from Nuvo. And what I like about it is that you can ink on top of it or things like that. It doesn't have like a glossy coating on it. So you can really make it your own. But today I think I'm just going to use it plain like this. I like it like that in the background. I like that fun touch of gold there. This is definitely going way longer than I thought it was, but I'm really enjoying kind of talking to you guys and chatting a little bit. So look at that. You get that fun kind of champagne colored texture. But you also get that really cool texture in there. Thank you so much, Roberta. I'm so glad you like my work. So then I'm just going to go in with my mini trimmer. And I'm just going to chop off some of those edges. This is one of my favorite things for this trimmer. I always keep it like right behind my desk on my little countertop back there. Some of you guys might have seen it in some of my videos, that little countertop. And I keep it tucked in there just so I can have it at all times to trim off any of those excess parts. Awesome. I'm so glad, guys. I'm so glad you're enjoying the little stream here. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I'm really excited you guys are liking it. So here I'm just going to probably apply the flower, I think right about there. Yeah, the paper is awesome. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on top of here. So I'll just spread some glue right on top of that flower. And that way I'll be able to add it to the surface. And I'm just using some multi-matte medium. So I'll just add the little flower on top of there. Yeah, the paper is awesome. It's from that new Ocean Air Trends release. So you can buy all those products separately, but they just coordinate really nicely, which I love. I love that they're giving you products that go really nicely with whatever season's kind of going on. Yeah, I think crafters need to be a little messy for sure. So I'm going to go in with a sentiment here. Let me find something really quickly. I'll just find a sentiment that goes along nicely with this. So talk amongst yourselves quickly. Just a little sentiment. Okay, I found this fun Pretty Pink Posh set. Can you give after the live is over? I'm not quite sure. I'm not too sure how it all works yet. Probably not, but I'm not quite sure. So here are some of this awesome sentiments. And I think that I'll add get well wishes on there. You always need sympathy cards. So oh, you don't see them listed below. I'm not quite sure. I can't quite check right now. But I'll check after the live stream to make sure that they're up there. They should be down in the description box though. Yeah, I am having a little bit of a hard time creating and reading the comments, but just a pause here and there to kind of read things over. So I've got that black ink again. I'll stamp that get well wishes sentiment down. And there you can see, I think it's backwards on the live stream. Do I have a Patreon page? Not right now. Just because I can't really keep up with all of doing the rewards and things like that. Because of school and stuff like that. But maybe I'll just start one with not many rewards. And I'm not sure if you guys would like that, but I can't devote a ton of time to Patreon, you know. It's shown correctly. Awesome. Thanks so much. So yeah, it's never been really a thing that I considered. I am considering opening a P.O. box though. So let me know your thoughts on that. I might open a P.O. box just so it's easier if you guys want to send cards or things like that. I would love to see your guys' creations. So I've always wanted to do that. And I'm finally at the point where I think I might open one. Thank you so much. Yeah. So maybe I'll try opening a Patreon page if you guys want to join. A large roll of foam tape. I got it from Amazon. That's where I order a lot of my crafty stuff. A lot of my tools and stuff I order from Amazon. Hello, thanks for joining, guys. I'm having so much fun chatting with you all today. Yes, PO would be awesome. I would love to see your guys' cards. I'm not sure if I would be able to open them on video. Maybe I'll create a little video series. I'm not quite sure. But I would love to see some of your creations. And I would love to send some of them out to you guys too. Because I have so many cards and I don't have many people to send them to. Awesome. Yeah, I would love to see your cards. Awesome. I might open a P.O. box after pretty soon here. I've been kind of waiting to do it. And every time I went to the post office isn't open. So Awesome. I'm learning a lot of new stuff today from you guys. I love chatting with you. So I didn't know if a PO box would be worth it, but it'll also help with some other things that I need to get done, like sending out emails. I need to have a PO box to do that. So that will probably be coming in the near future. And again, awesome. Yeah, I might every once in a while just post a little picture and ask for some of your addresses. Kind of DM you guys and then send out some cards after that. Sometimes you have to chop through layers like this. So I'm just going to mute myself quick. It's a little noisy, but it does cut through. Sorry about that. Sometimes when there's a ton of layers, you just have to like chop it like a little hacksaw, but it does work. It cuts through all those layers really nicely. It just takes some force because it's got all those layers on there. Oh, I'll look into putting a support link on my YouTube. I think I tried it once. I think you need to have some sort of agreements, but maybe I'll try that in the future. So this is a fun card. I've been keeping things on my cards pretty simple lately and really letting the coloring or whatever kind of technique that I did shine at, really technique focused. Thanks so much. I love the diagonal design. I'm gonna pull this over here so it's closer to me so I can read it a little bit better. Love the card, love the background. You thought of purchasing the trimmer? Yeah, I love tonic trimmers because the tonic trimmers, they never really dull. I haven't had mine dull and I've had it for a long time. And I know Tim's coming out with the new black handles on both the trimmers, so I might be getting those soon. But yeah, those trimmers are awesome. They're a lifesaver and they don't leave that like a weird edge on your card either. I've had that problem with the rotary trimmers all the time, but these don't do that. And they cut through layers really nicely too. You heard the blades are self-sharpening. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're self-sharpening. I'm not quite sure though. But they never do dull. So the 12-inch Mega, that's awesome. That's great for scrapbooking and stuff. I love it. Yeah. I have the little kind of compactable one. So this is the longer one, so it can cut A2 size and 12 by 12 cardstocks. And then it's got the arm that can come out if you want it to. But I love this one for cutting things like that. I used to be really scared of the guillotine trimmer, but since they have this little guide on here, it really makes it super safe and easy so you don't cut yourself, you know. My desk is a little messy right now. Things are falling over all the time. Thank you so much. Yeah, I loved making this card. I think I'll add a finishing touch on here. Definitely going to get it awesome. You have the 6-inch, but need a bigger one to make card bases. Yeah, I find that you do need the larger one to make the long card bases, which is what I make all the time. Awesome. I'm so glad they're all working out nicely for you guys. So I think that I'll add some of these glitter drops here. Maybe some blue. I'm not quite sure. One of my favorite things to do, let me just take this piece of plastic here. One of my favorite things to do is go in and kind of just test out. What do you guys think? Should I add some Nuvo drops on it? I'll wait for a little response from you guys because it's a little bit delayed, but with this piece of plastic, I love putting it over top of the card and seeing where you want your drops. It's one of my favorite things, and it like works really nicely. Now, obviously, there's lots of ink on this one, but it works really well if you don't have that there. Somebody says the blue would accent nicely. Awesome. I'll give that a go. So you just want to make sure that it's kind of flowing when you go, and then I'll add some little drops here and there. Yeah, it helps a ton. Maybe I'll throw that into a life hack video for people who don't see this. Maybe I'll throw it into one of those in the future. I love doing those videos. Those are really fun to create for you guys. And I'll just shove 1, maybe 2 drops up here. So I don't know, hopefully that looks good. Nuvo drop, all the things. I have to agree, I love the Nuvo drops. And these are also from that new Ocean Air collection. Thanks, I'm so glad you like the hack videos. So yeah, this is from the Ocean Air collection. So this background paper is, some of these blue watercolors and yellow is, and also these Nuvo drops. But there's lots of other things in that Ocean Air that look really nicely, and they all coordinate really well. Thanks so much. I'm so glad you guys like the life hack videos. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to cut this off in a little bit here. I think we've been going on for like an hour and 6 minutes. I agree, on every card, there's always a little space for Nuvo, for sure. And I also, okay, here's another really fun thing that I like to do. Maybe it's a little overboard on this card, but I just want to share it. So I just take some of this Nuvo Crystal Glaze. You guys have probably seen me do this on those butterfly cards the other day. And I just throw it along, you know how I said like accent along those lines that are already drawn in? This bottle, you barely have to squeeze, but I just draw a really thin layer of these drops on top of these hand-drawn lines that are already there. And that adds so much to the card. Like so much. You want to make sure you give this lots of time to dry, obviously, if you're using Nuvo drops or anything like that. Oops, I smudged that little blue drop there, but I'll get it back with my finger. And just by throwing on a little bit of this clear drops, you get to kind of accent your whole piece. Awesome, thanks so much for joining me, guys. So here, I'll just quickly share this last portion here. I don't know, it might be kind of hard to see. I don't know if you guys are getting as good of a view as you can in real life, but it's almost kind of like a dewy drop, but you can draw it on those lines. So instead of having like enamel drops or anything like that, you get those fun dew kind of drops on top of those. So it might be a little too much for this card just because there's Nuvo drops everywhere, but I love doing that for lots of my cards, and it just gives kind of that scribble look, but it looks really cool on something like that little flower there. Thanks so much. So you guys can see that nicely. Okay, so I'll be posting, but first you want to make sure you leave this to dry flat for a little while and resist the urge to touch it because it will kind of drop, and once it feels dry, give it a little bit more time because it can sometimes kind of smush and do things like that. Okay, so I think I'll end it right around here. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this Saturday morning or whatever time it is where you guys are from. I really enjoyed hanging out with you and talking about these Nuvo hybrid inks. Here is the pink as well. So I'll be adding pictures on Instagram, probably just of this blue card and then the little pink flower next to it. So I'll add pictures up there. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, coloring, talking about hybrid inks, lots of different coloring mediums. I had lots of fun today, and maybe I'll be back next Saturday if you guys like this. Let me know if you want me to be back then. Leave me a little message here or on Instagram or somewhere. Let me know, and I'll be sure to be back then. And I think mornings probably work the best. It gets me up, and I'm really happy to talk to you guys. So hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you very soon for another card making and crafting video. And I was happy to do this with you guys this morning. So I hope you guys will give the hybrid inks a check out, and I'll see you very soon. I'm not quite sure how to end this live stream, so just give me a second. Thanks so much for chatting, everybody. I'll read some of the comments here before I leave. Awesome. I'm so glad you liked these cards. Awesome. Yes, Saturdays. I'm glad that works for all of you guys. It works nicely for me because I'm off of school then, and then I'm able to just sit and have fun and chat with you guys for a little bit of time here. Okay, have a great Saturday, everybody. Make sure, Leah, like she said, put a thumbs up on this video. Thanks so much for chatting with me. If you want to share this video, be sure to do that. Maybe share it on social media or share it here on YouTube. I would really appreciate that. It's my first live stream. Lots of fun. And I think lots of fun to be had for more live streams in the future. So I'll see you guys very soon. Have a great day. Bye. Now I just have to figure out how to turn this off. Okay.